Magazine. In tonight's cover story, WBRE, Northeastern Pennsylvania's pioneer television station, prepares to celebrate its 35th anniversary. But the anniversary gift is for you. Memories of more than 3 decades of broadcasting from reporter Jerry Baum. Vince Sweeney takes us behind the scenes at the Scranton Fire Department to show us what happens between fires. Larry Holmes' fight next month with Mike Tyson will be his last. The next time he answers the bell, he'll be a rock star. In our Sports Extra, Sid Michaels takes us to a recording session. And in the best of Gallagher's travels, music of a more mild nature from near Hazleton, the Singing Sisters of Sugarloaf. Hello, everybody. I'm Vic Vetters, and welcome to 28 Magazine. This Friday, WBRE TV will celebrate its 35th anniversary. We signed on the air just after noon on New Year's Day, 1953. And this is what the television station looked like back then. Some of you may remember this building. A lot of things have changed since then. And in the coming months, you'll be hearing a lot more about our 35th anniversary celebration. But tonight, we begin with this look back at WBRE from our veteran reporter, Jerry Baum.
This is the pioneer television station of northeastern Pennsylvania, WBRE TV, Channel 28 in Wilkes-Barre, owned and operated by WBRE.
It was really a miracle then. It was something that people had found it hard to believe that they could actually do this. They had heard about television from New York and Philadelphia, and it was always just beyond our range, and then all of a sudden we were on the air with it, and everything we did was of interest because it was all there was.
The first attempt to transmit pictures came in 1949 when WBRE Radio had FCC approval to microwave programs to a Parade of Progress exhibition at the Kingston Armory. Guided by founder and president Louis Baltimore, general manager David Baltimore, and chief engineer Charles Sikorsky Sr., Channel 28 became the first million-watt UHF ultra-high-frequency facility in the world in 1954. Within a year, the station was televising in color with personalities like Franklin Coslett and Joe Scott. And through its long working agreement and affiliation with NBC, which began with radio in 1938. David Baltimore was at the helm at the beginning of this new technology called television.
It was just radio with pictures, and we did what we could until programming came along. Our first problem was to find programming to fill the local time. The network started out only for a few hours a day originally and expanded hour by hour into the afternoon and then into the morning, and as they did, they left us periods where we had a program and we looked for what we could find.
During the first 14 years of operation, all types of programming were presented. Everything was an experiment. Frank LaBarre and Bob Schumacher were announcers in those early years. They remember productions like Roscoe the Clown.
In the first place, I was the first voice on television. When we hit the air, I was one that came on and said, "This is our test pattern, where are you?" I did Roscoe the Clown. I was the first impersonator of Santa Claus. I use that word impersonator advisedly on television in northeastern Pennsylvania. Had a program called The Golden Door that was tied in with Ted Mack Amateur Hour. And I did sports late at night. And in those days, we doubled. I'd work on radio, then run over and do my stint on television, then go back into radio again, because we're all in one building in those days.
This is the last remaining relic of the live local television era of the 1960s, the kitchen magic set. At one time or another, many of us took a turn in mixing chatter with ingredients.
I think the best program I was ever on was Kitchen Magic. The highlight of that program was, for me, one sunny afternoon in the summertime. They decided, one of the cooks said, we're going to have a cookout. And we set up everything in the backyard of WBRE, parking lot at the time, and they shot the camera out the back door, and we had our barbecue pit out there, and the charcoal grill was going, and we were going to make steaks. And everything was going fine. All of a sudden, the fire got too hot, the steaks caught on fire, and it was out of control. Live, remember, and some brilliant man found a pail of water, handed it to me, and I went swoosh, and with a big cloud of smoke, everything was destroyed. Steak. So all we could say was, don't let this happen to your fire.
In 1957, management made the decision to present local live color. Not only did WBRE TV have to keep up with programming and updating of equipment, 1957 also was a year of decision, the beginning of a building program. The 3-story mansion that was home for radio since 1939 and TV since 1953 had become obsolete. Television was moving at a fast pace.
Work began on a TV center in 2 phases to be located here at 62 South Franklin Street. The first order of business was the construction of a 2-story building to the rear of the old mansion. It became home for a TV control room, a main studio with 3,800 square feet of floor space, shop, storage, and prop areas. This was in 1958. It meant temporary quarters for several departments. Phase 2, a 3-story building in front, was begun in 1964 and completed in 1965. Charles Sikorsky Jr. was an early pioneer of local TV along with his father. He joined WBRE in 1942. His memories of a fast-moving industry are vivid.
Since 1953, I think the greatest thing is we were on the air with a 1,000-watt transmitter. Today we're using 110,000 watts. With the antenna system we have now, it gives us an effective radiated power of over 4 million watts, which does an excellent job in covering northeastern and central Pennsylvania. Of course, some of the other things were the advent of the transistor, which brought about a miniaturization of equipment. And of course, we get into E&G coverage. A lot of it's done today by satellite, which means that even a local station can go out and go to Rome and shoot back, or most any place in the United States and Europe, and perhaps the globe.
Several years ago, WBRE TV constructed one of the most complete state-of-the-art production facilities in the country, digital video productions. Any kind of tape, commercials, or programs can be produced here, where video is married with audio and special effects.
This is Eyewitness News.
News is the backbone of local programming in the 1980s. Over the years, WBRE TV enjoyed success because of the right ingredients, talented people, and the right tools to work with. The department began in 1966 with a very small staff. Today it's more than 32. WBRE TV was sold by the Baltimore family several years ago, but Terry Baltimore serves as general manager with a new firm, Northeast Television Investors Limited Partnership.
We have gradually expanded in the past 2 or 3 years our emphasis on news. That will continue in the future with more and more news being put on the air. We have not in any way, shape, or form decreased any of the public affairs or public service programming that we do for our viewers.
As Channel 28 continues to keep pace with the industry, its early beginnings will never be forgotten.
Oh, we had some good times. Sure we did. The time when I was Roscoe the Clown, a man named Henry Vorderheide used to bring animals in. And he brought a crocodile in one day. The middle of winter, I'm afraid of these things. The middle of winter, he said, don't worry about it. It's cold, they're comatose. We all forgot that in television there's lights. Right in the middle of my introduction, the darn thing came alive and was swishing its tail around and bobbing up and down. And I right away went straight to the comics, man. I didn't want to fool with that thing at all. We had a lot of good fun.
I'm Jerry Baum for 28 Magazine.
35 years in the broadcasting business. Seems like a long time until you hear about the Scranton Fire Department, which got its start in the late 1800s. Full-time firemen hired at the turn of the century. Today, the Scranton Fire Department is the 3rd largest in the state, with more than 200 members. And they do more than just fight fires. Vince Sweeney takes us behind the scenes now to find out what happens in between alarms.
Yes, it's true. Firemen do spend some time in the kitchen. They sit around, they eat, sometimes even cooking their own meals. But certainly there is a lot more to being a professional fireman. Join us tonight on Behind the Scenes, and we'll spend some time at headquarters with the Scranton Fire Department.
This is a story of the men and the officers of the Scranton Fire Department, professionals risking their lives, saving lives and property for a living. It's also a story of ongoing training, enabling the men to better do their jobs and enhance their chance of surviving a fire. District Chief Richard Pica has been a Scranton firefighter since the early 60s.
When a firefighter first started in the department, he more or less had OJT, that's on-the-job training. He would be assigned to an engine company or a truck company, and the officer in that particular company was responsible to train the personnel on different aspects of firefighting.
Today on the job training is only part of the picture. Under the direction of Department Superintendent Eugene Yevich and Chief Pika, the entire 200-man department will be state certified in the near future.
By becoming more professional and more knowledgeable of your job, makes it better for as far as injuries go in the fire personnel themselves, and also in your insurance ratings and the protection of the city.
Daily, the men receive both classroom and hands-on experience, plus answer the bell whenever it rings, not leaving much time to be idle or bored around the firehouse. This evening on Behind the Scenes, the night shift is under the command of Assistant Chief Robert Hupschman.
Being a fireman, it's a unique job. You know, when you work a shift at the firehouse, the men that you work with, they're actually like your family. You actually eat with them, work with them, you more or less live together in a family-type setting.
For the men and their leader, it's a close relationship.
Like Chief Hupschman becomes almost at times an older brother, father figure, because he has all the responsibility of us. I mean, if somebody's having a bad time at home, bad day, it goes to him.
When the bell does ring, the response is swift. The men are on the street and rolling in 20 seconds or less, arriving at a fire scene anywhere in the city in 2 to 3 minutes, as you will shortly see.
Engine 15, Engine 4, Engine 6, Truck 2, the Assistant Chief, and Ambulance 23 will respond. That is all.
It's quite the contrary to being dull, because the unknown is there. You could be sitting here reading a book 1 minute and within 2 minutes be fighting a major fire with people trapped in the building.
What you are seeing here is a practice run of Scranton's Truck Company Number 2, a ladder company responsible for search and rescue. In the cab, Captain Robert Horvath and fireman Kevin Joyce. This video, also from the cab of Truck Number 2, is real. The company, along with a number of others, is responding to an actual fire in the Green Ridge section of the city. The fire, a suspected arson, injured one city fireman who was taken to the hospital in the fire department's ambulance, which ironically is seeing its final days in Scranton. Service will be discontinued after more than 40 years on the last day of 1987.
And so now we hope that you have a better appreciation for the professionals who fight fires, risking their lives to save yours. Behind the scenes at Scranton Fire Headquarters, I'm Vince Sweeney, 28 Magazine.
Up next, a fighter who wants to be a rock star and nuns who sing like professionals. 28 Magazine will be right back.
See how it all began next time on Cheers.
Am I stupid to let you go see a woman you were once in love with?
It's the story of a woman who lost her fiancé on the way to the altar.
You miss.
And found a whole bar full of Budinskis, beanballs, and know-it-alls.
Speaking of sweat, here's a little known fact.
Not to mention,
I'm probably going to regret this.
A brand new life.
But you could work here.
It's round one of Cheers.
Monday at 7:30 on WBRE TV.
One of the most popular programs on WBRE in the 50s was the Gillette Cavalcade of Sports. Remember the theme, you'll look sharp, feel sharp, be sharp? Well, every Friday night, Gillette sponsored the Friday Night Fights. Former heavyweight champ Larry Holmes was just a kid at that time. Now his career as a boxer is just about over, and he's about to begin a new career. In our Sports Extra tonight, Sid Michaels tells us about the champ who wants to be a recording star.
I'm the king in the ring. But I can do anything. It's the same for you when you have found. You just can't keep a good man down.
After they took my title, they thought maybe I'd go back to Easton and never be heard of again. But here I am, back in the ring again, in the studio again, trying to deliver a message so that others out there can carry on the message that I'm trying to leave behind.
Larry Holmes' latest trip into the sound studio has resulted in a song entitled You Can't Keep a Good Man Down, a tune that will play as he enters the ring to face Mike Tyson in Atlantic City on January 22nd. And while Holmes has excelled as a boxer and a businessman, he'll be the first to admit he's got a long way to go before he excels as a recording artist.
I have fun. I like doing it. I can afford to do it. And I'm doing something that I always like to do. I like to learn piano. That's been my favorite instrument that I would like to play.
And we talked about the concept of the song and what he wanted to deliver. And we had 1 or 2 meetings on it, and then he came in with a sheet of the lyrics. We went over it a few times. He changed a few things, and basically that's what it was. He wanted to put this message forward.
This isn't Larry Holmes' first try at a recording. A little over a year ago, when he announced his retirement, he also debuted a record called Boxing Politics, which expressed his displeasure with the state of the sport, something he says has now been put under wraps until after the Tyson fight.
Soon, after this fight is over, we'll take right back, you know, over on that record again. And because it's very important that athletes get the chance, they get the opportunity, and when they get that opportunity, to be able to come away clean from it. And I don't think politics should be in it, really.
You may think that being in the recording studio would take away from Larry Holmes' concentration as he prepares for the upcoming Tyson fight. But he says doing this stuff is all in fun, and when it comes time to train, then he'll keep his mind on that training. Holmes says this song could actually help him in his try at regaining the title that was once his.
This record is like a blessing. I think it will motivate me, even though the odds may be against you, you know, as in the song, as they are for me right now. I'm not supposed to beat Mike Tyson, but see, that motivates me. See, I'm not going to be a cakewalk for Mike Tyson. I don't care what people say about me. I don't care what they think about me. A lot of them are thinking negative. Well, while he's doing it, he's crazy. He don't need the money. He's arrogant. He shouldn't be around. Whatever, you know. But I'm me. I'm Larry Holmes. I like to be the way I am.
And once the Tyson fight is over, will Larry Holmes try to make music his next career move?
I do that just to have fun. I won't make a career out of it. I don't think I would make anything out of it. But I will be able to have fun with it for a while until my wife slaps my hand and tells me, come on home.
Critics only saw what they wanted to see, but I'm still going down in history. For 7 long years I ruled the ring, the heavyweight champ and boxing king. In my profession, I am the best. Top condition, won't settle for less. I'm still fighting hard.
For 28 Magazine, this is Sid Michaels reporting.
From boxers who sing to bakers who sing, the best of Gallagher's travels is next. The pioneers of television were dedicated, and you're about to meet another group of dedicated people who could make a living singing and baking. Instead, they've given their lives to God, so they sing and bake and pray 6 hours a day. The Byzantine Carmelite nuns of Holy Annunciation Monastery in Sugarloaf. The singing nuns are tonight's best of Gallagher's travels.
I think it's a surprise for all of us because none of us had much experience baking. We've learned something. We use as much of our own garden produce as we can, you know, all the natural ingredients, and we put a lot of love and devotion into everything we do. And I think we have a very good product.
Most folks throughout the Sugarloaf area know of the Byzantine Carmelite nuns for their talents in the kitchen. But in the last couple of years, they've discovered another talent the good sisters have been blessed with.
We sing every morning. We sing 3-part liturgy every single day. And the sisters all enjoy music. We love to listen to records.
All of the sisters have a great love for music. Most of them have been trained in it. I know I haven't, but the love comes out, and I think we draw it out of each other with our own happiness and joy.
A major portion of the money they raise from the sale of their baked items goes directly towards paying off a new wing they had added onto the monastery 3 years ago. But they found that wasn't quite enough. So in the fall of '85, the good sisters decided to put their love for music to good use.
And then the young sisters who came in, well, they weren't old-timers. They didn't have strong muscles yet. And what they were good at was singing. So I thought to myself, well, since this is something they can do, I decided to both, to take their recreation and make money on their fun.
The end result was an album the sisters recorded entitled Life in the Monastery.
Do not weep for me, my son, though my heart is full with tears.
it's religious, and therefore it's. I'm sure if it was rock and roll or something, it might be even better. But people have one thing is everyone who has bought it has liked it. That's for sure.
Whether they're working in the kitchen or singing in the chapel, everything these sisters do is devoted to God and a lifetime of prayer. It's not an easy life. However, one can't help but envy the peace and love evident behind the walls of this monastery.
Day has gone and night is here. Once when I was very young.
The sisters here are wonderful. I love them all, and we really live in such a wonderful spirit of unity. I think you could see that from just our sense of music even, and the way we work together. That's another cause for great thanksgiving.
The peace that you know that you're doing God's will, that can sustain you through anything. It's that assurance that you have in your heart that you're doing the Lord's will. Because you can't always satisfy everyone, but if deep in your heart you're at peace with what you're doing, I say peace is the greatest, that is after faith the greatest gift you can have.
Do not weep for me, my son.
Reporting for 28 Magazine, I'm Dan Gallagher.
My heart is full and my soul is fused with sorrow. Day has gone and night is here.
That's our December edition of 28 Magazine. Our next issue comes out Sunday, January 31st, 1988. On behalf of everybody at WBRE TV, I'm Vic Vetters. We wish you the peace and joy of the holiday season.